Let us start with the intrusion, prevention and detection system. This is again the module 4 portion. So in the module 4 portion, up to now we have covered the chapters with respect to IEEE 805.11i. Next chapter is viruses, worms and malware, and the third chapter is firewalls. Okay, we have completed 3 chapters from module 4, and now I am started with the chapter 4 of module 4, that is intrusion, prevention and detection. So the definition of intrusion is, it is the act of gaining unauthorized access to a system so as to cause loss or harm. Okay, so obviously the unauthorized access will be done to access the various sensitive data with respect to the user or the various data present at the server side. Okay, so all these are the intrusions. So example of the intrusions include unauthorized login to a system by illegally acquiring the passwords. So he can make use of the password guessing attack. As an example, we can consider. So next example is worm infections, that uses the system as a launch pad to spread and infect other machines. The third example for intrusion is injection of the spyware, that passively monitors the activities of the user and relays this information back to the attacker. Obviously, we'll make use of the internet, okay, to do the activity. Next example is flooding, that is the host with spurious connection request that attempt to exhaust the target's resources. Okay, for example, he may send the request, okay, so that the following resources may be consumed, okay, in more. The resources may be in terms of processing power, memory, or it can be a communication bandwidth, right? So more spaces will be, much of the spaces will be occupied by these type of the spurious connection request. That is where an attacker will be flooding, okay, the network. The two ways of handling instructions are intrusion prevention and intrusion detection. Okay, so let us see the prevention and the detection differences. Okay, prevention versus detection. So intrusion prevention anticipates the various kinds of attacks and takes the steps to forestall their occurrence, whereas the programmer should adopt practices that help reduce or eliminate the software vulnerabilities. So if we consider the string manipulation functions in C or C++, the usage of the parameterized SQL queries in these functions are some of the practices recommended to protect against buffer overflow and SQL injection attacks. Okay, so likewise, sanitizing the user input from HTML forms is one more preventive measure against the cross-site scripting attacks. Okay, so with respect to this, these points, I will give you the examples in the Google class. Okay, so another set of preventive measures may be taken by computing system to provide a second line of defense. So obviously the system administrators should be trained on this type of related issues and the task, and also the user should be trained to adhere to sound security practices such as password protection, and he should be educated on the variety of social engineering attacks. Okay, so detection. So here we are seeing a diagram with respect to intrusion detection system. Okay, initially we have monitor various system or network variables, then analyze recent value behavior of the variables. So next, depending on the value behavior, whether it is going to match the attack pattern. Okay, here value is nothing but, or the variables is nothing but, the what are the parameters, okay, to be considered for the measuring purpose, or to evaluate, okay, what type of attack has been taken place, depending on some of the parameters which are considered for the execution purpose or the detection of the attack, right? So here in the diagram, the intrusion detection system performs the various tasks. Basically, it will perform 3 tasks. Initially, it monitors the events of interest occurring in the target system or in the network. Okay, so what type of the events been taken place in the network? So for example, the event can be a system call. So obviously system call is nothing but what? A call made to the operating system. So it can be with respect to, for example, open a file which has the sensitive data, or to establish a TCP connection from a specific IP address to a certain port number. So few other examples we can have with respect to the system calls. So the intrusion detection system generates a large amount of data which it then analyzes and converts into valuable information to be used by the system administrators. Okay, so the second process is it is going to analyze the data which it has generated, where the IDE has generated a large amount of data that will be used for analysis purpose, and that information will be accessed by the system administrators, and so that he can take up the various measures, preventive measures. Okay, so that is based on the analysis of the data. Okay, they will analyze what type of the attack pattern is this. Okay, so if the attack pattern is matching with the type of the attack what they have, then they will release the alarm, or they will raise the alert, or otherwise it was anomalous behavior. For that also the corresponding the messages in terms of alert or the alarm will be sent. Okay, so as a case study for this intrusion detection system, that is we have unauthorized user logins now. Initially we have discussed examples for the intrusion, that is unauthorized login. So let us see what are the measures to be taken, okay, with respect to the unauthorized logins or the unauthorized user logins. So obviously we will be making use of the websites. So user will be login. He will be making use of his login credentials, that is username and the password. So as we already know, user will be creating a password using the various rules, okay, which depends on again the websites. Okay, what are the constraints given by that particular website? Okay, according to that the user will create a password. So all these are the preventive measures. Okay, so to prevent unauthorized logins owing to compromised passwords, the following should be adhered to. That is, password should be at least 8 characters and it should be changed once in a month so that it will become hard for guessing. Okay, and various constraints it can include at least one non-alphanumeric character, and obviously these passwords should be stored securely. Okay, that is, it should not be communicated with any of the other persons who are not authorized to use, okay, the login credentials. So they can be friends, relatives, or the co-workers. And also, if an attacker or an unauthorized person tries to log in using the password, let us assume he will fail for number of attempts. So after 3 consecutive unsuccessful attempts to a specific account, the system should be designed to disable all further login attempts for the next 20 minutes. This is also one of the measure. So here we have discussed 1 to 4 rules, okay, for the password creation. So from the rule 1 and 2, okay, these are the things which are enforced by the system, that is the constraints, okay, given from the system side. Rule 3 involves the user alone, because the password, whatever he knows, he has to secure it properly. Then rule 4 involves the system alone. Rule 4 is with respect to the unsuccessful attempts done by the any person. Okay, then he is not allowed to again do the reattempt to the login for another 20 minutes. So these are the constraint again given from the system side. Okay, so as a further preventive measures, the high security organization may mandate two-factor authentication, that is, a password in conjunction with biometrics. Right? So biometrics can be, that is, it is used to scan the physical characteristics of a individual, right? So along with that, a password can also be used to prevent the unauthorized access. So in addition to the prevention, an IDS may also be deployed to monitor suspicious logins. Okay, so this is the one case study with respect to unauthorized user logins. Now let us see the types of intrusion detection system. Okay, so very few points we are going to discuss in this. Again, the difference are also very easy to list out. So the real world IDS monitors and mines the hundreds of variables for interesting patterns. Okay, here again variables is nothing but the what type of the analysis it is going to do using what type of parameters. Okay, so here we have a table events of interest to an IDS system. Okay, so here we are seeing the column variable monitored, event of interest, then possible attack. That is, from the IDS intrusion detection system, okay, how it is going to find out what type of attack is possible. Okay, so what are the parameters it is going to measure? Depending on what, it is going to analyze the type of the attack. So here we are seeing in the table the sample of the variables together with a condition that may trigger an alert. Okay, so again some of the variables depends on the bit patterns in the packet header or the packet payload, and other variables as we are seeing in the first column are counts of a certain occurrence within a time interval. Okay, so as we are seeing here, time interval here. So let us see the difference between anomaly versus signature based ideas and host based versus network based ideas, and how this intrusion detection system is going to give the alarm or an alert message to the user or the client or the server also. Okay, so here in the table we have seen various variables like number of access to the specific file, login frequency to the particular account, then number of distinct source IP address of arriving packets, the ratio of ARP request packets to ARP response packets, ratio of TCP SYN packet to the TCP FIN packets, percentage of open TCP connections, TCP header flags, TCP connection establishment, payload of incoming packets, then other operating system calls. Okay, so here when we consider the anomaly intrusion detection system, okay, now we are going to discuss the difference between anomaly versus signature based ideas. The anomaly based intrusion detection involves making a determination whether the behavior of the system is statistically significant departure from the normal. These ideas will have to learn over time what constitutes the normal activity, the other usages, and also the behavior of the network. So here in the table, the first 6 variables, number of access to the specific file, second, login frequency to particular account, the third, number of distinct source IP addresses of the arriving packets, then ratio of ARP request packets to the ARP response packets, then ratio of TCP SYN packets to the TCP FIN packets. Okay, these are the different measures. Okay, what the IDS system is using to find out the type of the attack. So the first 6 okay variables in this table is adopted by the anomaly based IDS. The anomaly based IDS would monitor okay these type of the variables, and it can find the corresponding the attack possible. So for example here, if the number of access to a specific file, okay, if it is finding, okay, so it will come to understand that the type of the possible attack here is what? DOS attack or the flash event is going to occur. Similarly, if I consider the third variable, number of distinct source IP addresses of the arriving packet. Packets are incoming, but all these packets are from different sources. It is not from the same sources. IP addresses is different. So it will come to know that it is a worm attack. So for this type of, that is based on this type of the variables, okay, it will identify what are the possible types of the attacks and it will give the alarm. Okay, so the first 6 variables measurements with respect to the possible attack will be done by the anomaly based intrusion detection system. Okay, so again depending on the the TC and SYN packets and the FIN packets in each successive 10 seconds. Okay, it can that is the disproportionate number of SYN packets via the FIN packets indicates the several of open TCP connections and possibly the onset of a SYN flooding attack. Okay, it can set the alarm for SYN flooding attack. Depending on the number of SYN packets via FIN packets. Okay, once the TCP connection is done. Okay, so these are the points with respect to anomaly based. Signature based is again very simple one. The signature based intrusion detection, it works by identifying the specific patterns of the events or behavior that indicate or accompany an attack. So each such pattern is called as a signature here. Okay, each of the specific pattern which is identified by the signature based IDS is called as signature. Okay, that is it maintains the signature based IDS maintains a database of the known signatures, that is the possible specific patterns are called as a signature, and the database of the signatures will be maintained by the signature based IDS. It attempts to obtain a match between the currently observed behavior of the system and an entry into this database. Okay, that is currently what is the system behavior. According to that, it will try to find out the pattern. Okay, what type of the pattern, in what pattern way the system is behaving. Okay, and that information will be stored in the database. So a real world signature based IDS will have thousands of attack signatures against which to compare. Okay, so depending on at this particular time, this is the system behavior. So it will search for the pattern in the database. If the pattern of the system matching with the pattern which is already present in the database, that particular type of the attack will be set as alarm by the signature based IDS. So for example, attack signature, okay, is a specific bit sequence in a worm payload. That part we can consider to the representation. So in a signature based IDS, it is the presence of a specific signature that raises an alert. Okay, the specific signature means here again at that particular point of time, what is the system behavior, in which pattern the system is behaving. If that behavior is matched with the patterns present in the database, then the signature based IDS raises an alert. On the other hand, it is also possible that a spread of the worm has caused much network traffic congestion. Due to this, what happens? There will be greatly increased in CPU utilization on an infected machines also. Okay, so that is the again the resource consumption due to the spread of the worm here. Okay, next, finally, we'll see the difference between host-based versus network-based IDS. Okay, again, very simple concept. Network. From the network, obviously, we can understand that there will be a packet flow. So, the intrusion detection system based on the network, okay, captures the information about the packets flowing through the network, and it is referred as network-based IDS. Okay, so Here, the standalone appliances which performs the network-based intrusion detection will be considered, okay, and this typically run only the IDS and are hence not vulnerable to the various worms and virus attacks, okay, because of the usage of the standalone appliances. The worm and virus attacks are not vulnerable to this type of the appliances. And this network based IDS may be deployed at multiple points in a large organization. Okay, these are the few points on network based IDS. In the host based IDS, the host based IDS is typically implemented in the software and resides on top of the host's operating system. Right, host is nothing but what? The individual machine, okay, or from where the action is taking place, right? The host based IDS is typically implemented in the software and resides on the top of the host operating system. Basically, its job is to monitor the internal behavior of the host, such as sequence of the system calls which have been made. For example, it can be the file accessed, okay. So for this purpose, it makes use of the system logs, application logs, and the operating system audit trials to identify the events related to an intrusion. So if any intrusion occurs in the host-based intrusion detection system, it will be making use of the three logs: system logs, application logs, and operating system audit trials. So for example, how the analysis can be done using what? Let us see. That is, for example, if we consider the operating system logs, since it is with respect to the operating system, okay, it will maintain the various information about the users and the system calls also. So that is, it can keep track of the user's login, then the number of unsuccessful login attempts, then which are all the commands have been executed, then whether the network connections have been made or not, okay, and the various information about the system calls, which are all the calls which are present at the kernel levels have been called, okay. All this information will be maintained in the operating system logs. So using this, okay, various analysis can be done. It can identify for the pattern of the behavior, okay, that is what type of the possible attack, okay, have been done. It can do the analysis using this type of log informations. Similarly, application logs. Application logs, it will keep track of which are all the files have been opened or which registry keys have been accessed during the run of an application. Okay, so for example, the file system integrity checkers, what it will do, it will compute a cryptographic hash on the contents of each of the file. They detect the file changes by comparing the computed hash of the file to its stored hash. So that is how the integrity check will be done on the file system. Okay, so again these are all will be done on the host system itself, right? So only these are all known as the host based IDS. Okay, so the two desirable properties or the features of the IDS are speed and the accuracy. That is, speed is especially important in the fast spreading internet worms, right? For example, if we consider, so the early worm detection and early response mechanism is very important here. Okay, for example, it can take the action like automated system shutdown. System may shut down automatically once the early worm detection is done. So it helps in reducing the number of infected machines. That means the intrusion detection system should be able to detect every instance of the intrusions. Okay, so the intrusion that is which is undetected is referred to as a false negative. An intrusion, an undetected intrusion is referred to as a false negative intrusion. Okay, so today in class we discussed about intrusion detection, intrusion prevention and detection, definition about the intrusion, examples of the intrusions. Okay, then the various points with respect to prevention versus detection. Okay, a flow chart with respect to the intrusion detection system. Okay, then the case study for an intrusion with respect to unauthorized user logins. Then the types of the intrusion detection system. That is basically we have anomaly IDS, signature based IDS, host based IDS, network based IDS, and the difference, and how these IDS systems is going to set the alarm, and what are the parameters it can consider to find out or to detect the possible type of the attack. Okay, so those are the parameters here listed in this table in the first column, the parameters which it can make use to find out the possible type of the attack. Okay, so for this particular variable which is given in the first column, the possible type of the attack is given in the last column. Okay, then we discussed the difference between anomaly and signature based IDS, then network and host based IDS. Okay, so now students, if you have any doubts, hello, hello.